When you get ready to sell your home, one of the first questions you want to think about is how much is it going to cost you to sell your home? So this is going to take into account several different factors, not just the realtor commission, but you're also going to have closing fees. So closing fees are going to be things that you pay for handling the transaction, like the title company, for example. They're going to have their own set of fees. So in order to set up a closing date and go into their office, they charge a closing service fee for handling the entire closing for you. There's also the title search, the title insurance. This is where they check the property for any defects against the ownership, the title of the property. So there's going to be a fee for this. They're going to have government recording fees that get charged. So when the property has to get changed ownership, the deed's going to have to get filed with the government showing a change in ownership. So the government charges these different fees and taxes for that part of the sale as well. And then you're going to have lender fees if you're a buyer, but if you're selling the property, you're going to have your mortgage balance that you have to pay off. So you need to keep this in mind. You're not going to get the exact sale price of the property in your bank account. You're going to have to actually pay off your mortgage. And then whatever's left after that is what helps go to pay off these additional fees like closing fees, government fees, and then your realtor commission, for example. And then one a lot of people forget is the tax proration. So if you're selling mid-year, let's say at the end of June, you've already lived in the home for 6 months of the year. So you've already been using the home for half a year, so you're responsible for half of the year's worth of property taxes. Now, property taxes don't get paid until later on, so you haven't actually paid any money towards these property taxes yet. So you're going to need to give a credit to the new buyer so that they can pay those property taxes later on your behalf. So you're giving them a credit for the time that you lived in the property. So those 6 months, they're going to prorate those taxes and say, hey, you pay these 6 months, and then after you sell the house, the remaining 6 months that are left in the year, that's going to then get charged to the new buyer. So they're going to be responsible for that portion of the property taxes. And then some of the optional seller costs to keep in mind are going to be things like any repairs or seller credits that pop up during the transaction. So let's just say you got the property under contract with the buyer. They have a home inspection done and they find out that there's some black mold in the basement tucked away in one of the corners, and they don't want to move forward with the sale unless this black mold gets corrected. So they're going to come back to you and say, hey, you know, we're either walking away from this deal because of this black mold, or you need to get it fixed before closing. So this might impact your net amount you receive, because now you're going to have to go out and spend some money to hire a mold mitigation company to come out and get rid of that mold. Or the buyer might just ask for a credit known as a seller credit. So if they go out and get quotes and they determine that the mold might cost $5,000 to remove, they might come back to you and ask for a $5,000 credit on the closing statement. So that's $5,000 less that they're going to pay you for the property. So you're going to net $5,000 less. So they're basically getting a deal, saving money ahead of time, because they're going to end up coming out of pocket on that money later on. So they're still going to net out about the same. It's just a weird way of doing the money on the settlement statement. So with that being said, keep in mind home inspections might reveal some things that cost money, like repairs that you got to take care of before closing, or if they're going to happen after closing, you might be responsible for giving a seller credit. So keep in mind seller credits, repair costs during the inspections, keep in mind realtor commissions, keep in mind closing costs to the title company that's handling the closing, keep in mind government fees and taxes that they charge, and then property tax prorations. These all in total probably come out to about 10% of the sale price. So if you're selling a $300,000 house, for example, you can expect maybe close to $30,000 worth of selling costs. So you're going to come away with maybe $270,000, and then you're going to have a mortgage, of course, to pay off. So if you've got a mortgage balance of $200,000 and you net $270,000, after you pay off that $200,000 mortgage, you're going to walk away with a check for $70,000, which is going to be handed to you at closing from the title company.